Yeah, and then next up we've got preseason 2022 changes. So they have two goals: improve and build upon existing game systems and reward progression in a meaningful way. They want to change dragons a little bit. They're happy with how it turned out, but they want to create new terrain features that contribute to unique matches and alter how the game plays out after the map transforms. And they want to expand on the thematic possibilities of what empowers a dragon and how that empowers your champion on the Rift. They want to look at items, including adding more mythic options for support champs and improving legendary item options for mages, assassins, and tanks. I'm not excited to see Zhonya's on that list, but
Yeah,
that's okay. Runes, they're going to rework some inspiration keystones and balance the secondary runes. And they're adding objective bounties to the game, giving losing teams more strategic options to get back in the game through taking objectives. This is kind of unclear so far, but it seems like, hey, there's an extra 300 gold if you take dragon right now.
Yeah, we can talk about everything, like we can break them down one by one, but we'll just go through it quick first.
Yeah. They want to add some new systems, including challenges, which I'm pretty excited about. This is essentially going to function as like achievements, basically. The example they gave was earn 120 S grades or higher on champions in ARAM. Progression identity updates, which we talked about earlier, a couple episodes ago, and I think that's it for the outline change that they had.
Yeah, so we want to quickly just like run through some stuff and give our like initial thoughts, because this is like the first look we've had at what's going to come to 2022, I guess, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, so let's preface it by saying this is supposed to be a very small preseason compared to the past two that we've had.
Yeah, and we'll hear more. They say at the bottom, we'll hear more about quick gameplay thoughts in September, and then in October we'll hear like a lot more about preseason. So we'll hear more in a couple months, but just like to what at least they're thinking about. So dragons as a system, I think dragons was one of the best one of the best systems they've introduced to the game in a while, I guess.
I would agree. I really like what it does. I have complaints about the mechanics of it. I wish they had later spawns, and I wish you had some insight into what sort of soul that you're going to get. That being said, I would agree. I think it's a fantastic system.
Yeah. So, like, for example, what would you like to see with this, I guess? Like, are we going to see more map changes? I was thinking about this a couple days ago. So I personally don't like the increased plants on the map. I think that's like not very much fun. Like, I don't like seeing more blasting plants. I don't like seeing more honey fruit. But I do like seeing the terrain getting torn down or built up, or the wind spots. Ocean really doesn't have anything terrain wise. I guess bushes.
It's got bushes, yeah.
Yeah. But like, I think that's a good direction. I would love to see those almost dialed up a little bit more. Like the map gets even changed more than it has. I feel like that was done super well overall, I guess.
Yep, I agree. I like it.
I think, that definitely, like, if they wanted to full send more into those terrain changes, and I think, like, even if they wanted to, again, I don't like the more plants, but I feel like they could make some of the, like, effects have a little more, like, good and bad, I guess. Like my immediate thought would be for the wind soul, where it's like the wind is blowing in a direction. Ooh. So it's either going to speed you up or slow you down.
Oh.
Right? Like, so if you are running into your jungle, like, you need to be aware of which area, the wind is.
Forecast.
Well, no, but like
before you leave base.
Is Janna immune to it?
That's but I think that could be interesting. And then, like, I would imagine for Infernal, maybe it's like if you
sucking zones of fire that you get hurt in if you stand.
Yeah, right. Like, it's like they maybe where the bushes burned down, maybe they are still bushes there that are on fire, and it's like you can use this bush, but you're gonna take like 10 damage a second or something.
Just like cool like ways to take that mechanic and like push it to the like nth degree, right? I guess my only other question I have here is, do you think that they should or will introduce another dragon, like another type of dragon?
I think they could.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should. I feel like four is just a good number.
Yeah.
For this sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, I would be okay with it, but I think they'd have to change up a lot to justify more than 4. Like the buffs I think would have to be smaller, and it'd be tough to come up with like a bunch more and then having to balance all of them. Yeah, I mean it would be super sick to get other dragons.
Yeah,
but...
like of course there's like some like crazy ideas that I'm sure like community can come up with. Maybe we'll ask that as a roundtable question next week.
Yeah.
But well, I guess one more question that came out of that is, do you think that we have the right number of dragons? They already said that they don't want to change the game time. They're happy with the game time being like 25 to 30 minute average. So we're not going to see like them just move dragons back, right? Like fully. But we could see systems like making it so Soul is on Dragon 3, but making it so they spawn later, have a longer duration between them. So it's a similar game time, but like less of a requirement. Because I personally think that, I think it works fine currently, but I do think it's a little bit clunky that if you get 4 dragons, you get 1 type, a second type, and then 2 of a third type. Whereas I think 1, 2, 3 would probably be like a decent way of doing it. Whether or not that's a better system, I don't really know. It would allow for like allowing dragons to spawn later into the game if they want to keep game times the same, though. I guess
they should give like a buff to the person that actually last hits the dragon.
No.
Like a stronger buff. Yes, buff junglers, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah. I just think that
Four's
there's some
probably
things they
the
could
best.
4 is like not a bad number by any means. Yeah. I would love to see them either make Cloud Soul a more, what do you want to call it? Like a more tangible reward than movement speed. Movement speed's crazy OP in the game. I think everyone agrees with that. But as a soul reward, it's definitely the weakest out of getting bonus damage, getting bonus health regen, or getting fucking just stats. Turns out Mountain Soul statistically is the best soul in solo queue, because guess what? You just get passive stats, right? Even like you have to hit people to do damage. You have to hit people to get the health regen. Or Mountain Soul, you just get stats and it makes you stronger. So I wonder if like they're gonna change Cloud Soul to make it more of a tangible thing, or if it will in Champions like show you the soul that's gonna be in the game. I think that would also be another interesting way of doing it. But
I could also see, and I think this might be a good way to potentially do it, would be like 3rd dragon triggers the map change. And then if you like, so if my team got the first 3 dragons and the 3rd one is wind, right? Like it's a wind map.
Yeah.
And the 4th dragon would then be like a post soul or post environment change dragon.
Yeah.
Where it's a neutral that would give our team the 4th buff if we kill it, but would give the enemy team the 1st buff. So like they have potential to still get 1 of each if they get the next 4 dragons.
Yeah.
But if we kill it, it's just, that's the one for us, and for then on their elder. Like I think that could be a fine way to do it. And then it would, I guess, alleviate some of the difficulty of you now never have to account for a team having like 4 wind drakes or 4 mountain. It's just
crazy scenarios.
Yeah, right. It's like anytime you kill 4 dragons, you're gonna have 1 of each buff.
Yeah,
I think that would be fine. And then it would be like once the soul happens, the next one is just like the next in line for you, and the dragon is just a neutral.
Yeah, it also allows you to make those buffs like stronger, because the reason why you can't why like the individual dragons kind of suck wiener is because if you are in the god scenario where you get 4 of any dragon, they're OP. Yeah. Like and I think that's actually like a really good way of combating that. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it would also then make like fighting for that one particular dragon more of a thing. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, hey, the first one was Infernal, and we gave it up because we're a late game team, and now they have Wind, Ocean, and it's an ocean map. Dragon 4, that we're now fighting for at 25, 30 minutes. Like, not only is this prevent soul, but this is also now like we get an Infernal buff at 30 minutes, which is a lot more.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That could be pretty hype. But I don't know. I will do that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they have in store for that. Onto the items. I don't think there's as much discussion on the items other than the fact that more items is good because it gives you more options. The main thing that I took away from this is that they realized that legendary items should be allowed to be niche. Like, you should be allowed to have like niche legendary items rather than just this item is built on every mage. Because it's a legendary item, which I think is really cool. More items, the better. Allows for more niche builds. Gonna be really cool. It is weird that they're focusing on mythic options for supports. I feel like mythic options for supports is fine, and then maybe giving them more legendary options seems like the right way of going about it. But
I actually think tanks are supports have a ton of supports have a ton of like decent legendary options.
Yeah, they do.
But
yeah.
I do think their mythic options are lacking. Usually it's Locket or Shurelya's Moonstone, and that's kind of it. Maybe Mandate on some of the less common champions, but that's kind of it.
I guess the way I look at it though is that legendary items usually provide these like things like Mikhail's, for example, is you buy it to anti-CC someone, and supports being a utility class. I feel like they very much benefit from having like niche items and stuff to like kind of flex what your character's good at and what your team needs. But yeah, I guess they are kind of lacking because they can't just build. Very few supports can build into like a tank mythic or a whatever mythic.
You really only get like maybe 2 options on your character. Like, you can't go many things that aren't, I would say Aegis on like Leona, for instance. You can't build Moonstone or Shurelya's. So I like that. I mean, like you said, more items is good. And that's really what it comes down to.
I think for the case of support legendaries, I think one other really interesting option that they could maybe look into would be to grant the mythic passive, give them a choice that they get to like activate on their wardstone completion, where it's like, hey, supports want their mythic item 99% of the time because of its active effect is good on their character, but like you don't build Shurelya's on Leona because plus 15 AP for legendary is dog shit.
Yeah, being able to proc that on Moonstone or your Wardstone is really smart. Actually, it's cool.
Yeah, interesting. I like that.
If I can buy Shurelya's, and then when I complete my Wardstone, which is going to happen first in most games, I can then either change it or give it one for the first time. Say, hey, I want my mythic passive this game to be, plus ability haste, plus ability power, plus armor MR, plus health. Whatever the balanced options are, and they'd have to look into it.
Yeah, the only really scary part is you don't want solo laners buying cheap support items getting to pick their passive.
Yeah, but I think that
I don't think a lot of people are building specific mythics for the mythic passive. But I could see support mythics being an exception to this, just because they're a good like 600 to 1,000 gold cheaper than most other mythics.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
or at the very least, like you could then also do things like
you need a ward. Yeah, I guess limiting it to Wardstone is really.
Yeah,
good.
I think limiting it to Wardstone is like the first one off the bat, but you could also, this only applies to X items, and each item is limited to maybe one of 3 choices or something. So like to really prevent certain characters from abusing the hell out of it, but like going Wardstone anyway, other than like a starving Senna build, could be really fucked with this. But you still have to build a support mythic, I guess. And I think that there are plenty of ways they could do it.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
But yeah, so is that everything for Rising news?
Just
AKA
quickly go
news?
through the last 2 parts about this preseason thing. So there's runes, which I think is like just a little basic thing. I think inspiration keystones have always been super weird compared to other keystones in the game. Unsealed Spellbook almost doesn't have its place in the game. Glacial Augment is built by maybe 2 or 3 characters in the entire game. What's the third one? I can't even think of what the third one is.
Unsealed Spellbook?
Unsealed Spellbook and Glacial Augment and...
Oh.
Why are we blanking? That's crazy.
Omnistone? There's another one.
Wait, is it Omnistone?
I'm pretty sure there's 4.
Yeah.
Is Omnistone in the... game?
Yeah, Omnistone's
I think
in
it
there.
is. Yeah. Huh. Is there a fourth one?
I'm pretty sure there's a
looking
fourth
right now.
Either
I'm
way,
just...
like Inspiration Keystones
Nope,
have been
just three. Just three now.
Okay.
Three? I thought there
Okay.
were four. Okay.
They got rid of
Inspiration
the fourth
Keystones have been fucking jank for like a long time, and I think them doing a full rework on this will probably be good for the game. And then I think adjusting secondary runes is like probably a good thing, because there's definitely like some secondary runes that you always have to take and some that you can like never take because you don't have like there's just too like much value in certain ones. So it's kind of like fucks up a lot of stuff. And the last discussion point, just really quick, 'cause we already kind of went over challenges
Really
and stuff like
quick,
that.
yeah.
Challenges are cool, progression's cool, yada yada yada. But objective bounties.
Sorry. Challenges will be free, by the way. They've
Yeah,
come out
yeah.
and said that, so you won't have to pay for it like Eternals.
Yeah, they're not Eternals. They're more just like a progression system. So, anyways, objective bounties. This is getting a lot of negative feedback, but I don't think it's the worst concept to at least bring up for discussion in Riot, right? This is another way to give teams a way to swing back into the game. We don't really know what it is. Nick mentioned that it could just be like, if you take Dragon while you're behind, you get extra gold or something like that. Who really knows what it's going to be? But I don't think this is actually that toxic of a way to implement comeback mechanics in League. Not that League should have comeback mechanics, but I think this is probably the least toxic way of doing it. I actually think it's like less toxic for the game than like shutdowns and like gold bounties and stuff like that.
Farming bounties, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like this is actually like a really good way. You have to play as a team well to get an objective. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like a really cool way to implement comeback mechanic. But
Ooh, I just had another thought for the dragon thing on that. What if it was like the stats went from being like, let's say Infernal was like plus 5% to everyone on your team, and the other team got it, and now it's plus 2.5% to everyone. Like it splits that same buff, but now to every
I like
player.
that.
yeah.
I don't think you not taking an objective should make your character weaker.
Yeah. I agree with that. But either way, I think objective bounties are a cool thing. Hopefully they're not done poorly. I think that the worst way they could be done is that like it's a huge amount of EXP and gold that you just get, and then that's the only reason that's even bad is that you can get a like smite steal, right? And then that would be like not fun, right? Like, oh, their jungler smite stole Dragon 3, so now they all get a ton of gold, right? And that would be kind of lame. But like in general, I think fighting for a team fight and then like winning the team fight and getting an objective and getting like extra XP and gold or whatever the fuck the bonus is a cool way to introduce comeback mechanic into the game. So,
Yeah, agreed. Awesome.